Begin today at the Mishnah towards the bottom of Nun Aleph Amud Beis. So here this Mishnah continues the halachis of Eino, and what we're going to discuss over here in this Mishnah is the halachis of Eino, the way it applies to the coins, to the money that there was in those times, where the money was made from metal, whether silver, copper, or gold even. And what happens to these coins over time is there's erosion to the coins. So what happens if you're using coins that are not their full size anymore? It's diminished to some extent. So at what point do we say that you can demand to get paid back for the difference that there is in the size of this coin, and the weight and the size of the coin? That's the point that we're going to discuss over here. Up until which point do we say that the sela, this coin of a sela, is diminished, but and there isn't any eina in it, even though the coin is a little bit eroded, but nevertheless you can still use the coin for what it is as a good coin for its original value. Rab Meir says, Arba isares, that's when the coin eroded the size of 4 isares to a sela. Now the ratio of 4 isares to a sela is a 24th. And the Mishnah here says how to evaluate that. That's a iser ledinner. The iser in relation to a dinner is a 24th, and a sela is 4 dinarim. So if a sela is 4 dinarim, so then 4 isarim is a 24th of a sela. That's the amount of erosion. Up until that point, we say that there's no eina. It's still considered to be like the original coin. But as the Gemara will explain, once it comes to this amount, then we say that there is already eina. You can't use it. That's Rab Meir. Yeah, Rabbi Yehuda says Arba Pundyonis, that when it erodes to the amount of 4 Pundyonis. Now Pundyon, this is double the amount. Every Pundyon is double the size of an Isser, as Rashi here brings the Cheshbon. So therefore, this means that when it erodes to a 12th of the size of the Sela, that's when there's a Eina. And that's Pundyon ledinner. You evaluate it by Pundyon to a dinner, because a Pundyon to a dinner is a 12th. So 4 Pundyonis. For the Sela, which is 4 dinarim, that's a 12th. Rab Shimon says that the erosion that where there'll be Eina is Shmoina Pundyonis, the size of 8 Pundyonis to the Sela. And you evaluate that also, over here it's going to be double than the opinion that we just mentioned before this, which is going to be actually a 6th. Shnei Pundyonim ledinner. That's 2 pindyanim to a dinner, which 2 pindyanim to a dinner is a 6th, and therefore 8 pindyanim to a sela is also going to be a 6th. Okay, so now here you see in the Mishnah there's different opinions regarding the erosion of this coin. The Gemara will discuss. Why don't we say the same thing the way we said regarding the din of eina in a sale where you overcharge or undercharge, where everybody says that the share is a shtus. Well, besides Rab Tarfon actually, that said a 3rd, but we paskin that it's a 6th. Why over here do we have other opinions about this, whether it's a 24th or a 12th or a 6th? Gemara will explain that. Sagt der Mishnah weiter, ad mase mutal hachse. Until when can you return this coin? The person that received the coin can say to the one that gave it to him, this coin is not in good condition. I wanna give it back, or I want to get the difference because of the erosion of the coin. So, if you got this coin and you're in a large city, ad kadesha yad l'shulchani, till the time that you have to show it to a money changer that's proficient to see what the condition of the coin is, you have time to go and say, I want to give back this coin. But after that, if you didn't give it back yet, so we know that you were meichel, you accepted it, and you can't return it anymore. But in villages where you don't have a money changer to let you know about this, adar v'shabbasis, you have time until Erev Shabbos. Erev Shabbos is a time when everybody goes to buy the food for Shabbos, and you're in the marketplace. And if the money that you use is going to be accepted, so then you know that it's good money. If you try to pay with these coins that you got, then it's not going to be accepted, then now you have a problem. So therefore you have until then to go and return this coin that you got. And the Mishnah says, Im hoya makira, if the one that gave this coin recognizes that the coin that he gave was an eroded coin, then even after 12 months, you should be ready to receive it back from the person that you gave it to. The Gemara is going to ask the obvious question. The Mishnah just said that it's either until you can show it to a money changer or until Erev Shabbos. Here it says 12 months later. And there's only complaints over here. If he doesn't take back this coin, there's only complaints. The Gemara will explain this as well, how it continues here in the Mishnah. Another halacha here regarding these eroded coins. V'noisna lemaisa sheni. These coins could be used to deconsecrate the maisa sheni. When you want to take the maisa sheni, the produce, and instead to redeem it with the money. So the pasuk says v'tzarta kesed biyadecha. You have to do it with money. So these eroded coins, you might think that you can't use it for maisa sheni. The Mishnah says no, you can use it for maisa sheni as well. Ve'ena chayshish. She'ena ela nefesh ra. And you don't have to be concerned that it's an eroded coin, because the fact that people don't accept these eroded coins is because people are very stingy. People are very, very particular. They're afraid that it won't be used in circulation. But be'emes, it's still considered to be good money, even though it's eroded to some degree, but it's still considered to be money, and it can be used for the redemption of the produce of Ma'aser Sheni. Okay, so the Gemara starts with the first thing, the lashon that the Mishnah said here. The Mishnah brings a different opinions regarding at what point, if it's eroded, that there's a din of einah. So the lashon that it said in the Mishnah was kama tehei hasela chaseira v'lo yehei ba'einah. Until which point do we say that there is no einah? It sounds like that the different shiurim that the Mishnah is saying it's saying that these shiurim, there's still no einah. If it's going to be eroded more than these shiurim that the Mishnah mentions, then there will be einah. So, but here though, the Gemara asks us, I'll ask you from the lashon of a brayse, where it says, At kamatei asela chaseira v'yeh ba'einah. The brayse brings all these opinions, and the brayse says the lashon, until which point do I say that if the coin is eroded, then there will be einah? And then it brings these shiurim. So meaning the brayse is saying that these shiurim that it says it, whether a 24th or a 12th or a 6th, at that point there is einah. The Mishnah is saying that at that point there still is no einah, and it's only einah if it's eroded more than that. Rav Papa answers, no, it's not a contradiction. Really, the pshat is like it says in the brayse, that when you get to the erosion at this point, then there is einah. So why does the Tana of our Mishnah use the term of lo yehei ba'einah? Because Tana didan kachoshev mimata lamayla. The Tana of our Mishnah, he's talking about the erosion of the coin, starting from a small erosion, a little bit, and a little more, and therefore he's saying until you get to the point where it's eroded a 24th, or even a 12th, or a 6th. So the Tana uses the lashon that until that point there's no einah, but what it really means to say is once it's eroded enough to this point that it's a 12th or 24th, then there is einah. That's what he means to say, like it says in the brayse. Tana bra kachoshev mamayla lamata. The Tana in the brayse is starting from the other angle. He's saying that if it's eroded more than what it said in our Mishnah, more than a 6th, then for sure there's einah. And the einah will be until the point of a 6th, or a 12th, or a 24th. But if it's eroded less than that, then there'll be no einah. So he's saying until which point there is einah, because he's starting from a bigger erosion, from the more and going down to less and less and less. That's the difference in the lashonos of the Mishnah and the brayse, but it both means the same thing, that these shiurim that are mentioned here in the Mishnah is the shiur when there is einah. Now the Gemara asks another question. As I mentioned before, the question here is, why when it comes to the erosion of a coin, is there a machlokes, at what point you gave an eroded coin, is it considered to be einah? And why is it when you're selling an item, you're selling a garment, there you don't have the same kind of machlokes at what point it's einah. Over there, the consensus is that the shiur of einah is a 6th. If you overcharge a 6th, or you underpaid a 6th, that's the einah. So Rava answers, Man Tana Talis, who is the Tana that says by a talis, when you sell an object like a garment, that the shiur of the einah is a 6th, Rab Shimoni. It's following Rab Shimon in our Mishnah. The last opinion of our Mishnah, Rab Shimon, regarding coins, the erosion of coins, he also said that the shiur of einah here is when the coin erodes a 6th of its original size. So the same thing by einah b'chlal, it's Rab Shimon's opinion. So it's the same thing, there's no difference between them. Yeah, the same machlokes applies there as well. And the Mishnah before that said that it's a 6th is only Rab Shimon. Abaye says, no, there's taka, a difference between the erosion of coins and the overcharging of a price regarding a garment. Because talis, the reason why we say by a talis, that the einah is only by a bigger amount, by a shtos, and there isn't any opinion that says that even if the einah is much less, a 12th or a 24th, the reason is because machal inish. Over there, the assumption is that even if a person overpays up till that amount, a person is meichel. Therefore, the sale is still in effect. Why is it? Because the Amri Inchi, there's a saying, people say, Oshik ligabech. In order to buy for yourself clothing, to cover yourself, you should be ready to overpay, invest, even to overpay in order to have clothing to wear. Vishavi lekarsech. and then for the food that you need to eat for your stomach, that pay for its value that it is. So what you see over here is when people buy things that they need, many times a person is ready to overpay. If it's something that he needs, he's going to be ready to overpay. So when you overpay up to a certain amount, it's the nature of people that people are meichel. But when it comes to a seller, though, here, when it comes to the coin, over here, there's opinions that say that the erosion of much less than a sixth is still a problem. Why? Since it's hard for it to go in circulation, the person thinks that it's, or maybe it actually may be so, that he's going to have a hard time using it to pay for things, so therefore he doesn't want to accept a bad coin. Therefore, there's opinions here that say that even much less of an erosion than a sixth will be a problem as well. Now going back to the actual machlokes that was brought in the Mishnah, you hear the Gemara actually quotes a Braise that brings this machlokes as well and different details. So this is here, the Gemara quotes the lashon of the Braise that it started off with here in the Gemara. Ad kameteh sela chaseira, until which point do we say that the sela, the erosion of the sela it's diminished, v'hei no. And then I say that there's a no, you can't use this coin anymore. Rab Meir saw this iser ledinner. Rab Meir says 4 iser to the sela, which is the ratio of a iser to a dinner, to 24th. Rab Yudai medalet pundyanis, if it's diminished the size of 4 pundyanis to the sela, which is pundyan ledinner, which is a 12th. Rab Shimonai mishmeine pundyanis, 8 pundyanis to the sela, and that's shnei pundyan ledinner, which is a 6th. Okay, that's similar to what we had in the Mishnah. Now the Braisa continues and says, Yeser al kain moichra b'shavya. That if it's more than this, the Gemara will eventually explain what it means is if it didn't erode as much, if the erosion is less, and therefore there's still more here to the coin, then moichra b'shavya. You could use this coin and give it and sell it for its original good price as a good coin. Ad kamati poches, another halacha the Braisa says, until what point do I say that when this coin eroded so much at v'yehei rashoy l'kaima? Until what point do I say that you're still allowed to keep this coin in your possession? After a certain point that the coin erodes, so you're not allowed to even keep this coin in your possession. You have to break it or burn it or throw it out, because this coin could now be used to trick people, to pay people with a coin that doesn't have the proper value. So at what point do I say that you're still allowed to keep the coin? At shekel b'dinner. Until the coin goes to half of its size, and that's the size of a shekel in relation to a dinner. Every shekel has, every dinner that is, has 2 shkolim in it. So when it erodes to half, so then you can still keep it when it's half, but if it erodes less than half, then you can't keep it. Okay, the Gemara is going to discuss this soon a little bit more here, but just the point here is, the way Rashi explains this, at shekel b'dinner, what it means is that when you have this erosion of the coin, so when it erodes up until half, so then there's no concern that it might be used in a way to trick people, to pay people with this coin less than what its value is, because people can see that it eroded and it's not the same as a regular coin. What happens if it erodes to the amount of a shekel, which is half of its original size? That's also something that people could see what exactly it is, and you can't fool people with it. When it erodes to a size that's less than that, then the problem is people already understand that you're not using it as its original seller. You're using it for half of what it is. But now when it's less than half, and you're trying to pay for it as a shekel and not what it originally was, people are not going to be able to see exactly what you're paying for this. You're going to tell a person, this coin is an eroded coin and I'm giving it to you for half of what it is. And really it's less than half of what it is. So in such a case, you can use this coin in a way that it tricks people or it fools people, so therefore you can't use it anymore. And that's been negated to the shekel in relation to a dinner. Or adroiva, sorry, again, I didn't read this right. Let me just read this again. Besela at shekel. By a sela, when it erodes to the amount of a shekel, which is half of what its amount is. Okay. Now, bedinner, that is, when it comes to a dinner, ad roiva, by a dinner, it's a quarter of this dinner, which simply means that if it eroded to the point that it's a quarter of what it originally was a dinner, then you can't use it anymore. You can't even keep it anymore. You have to throw it out. Okay, so in the simple pshat of this Braise, it comes out that it's saying regarding a sela, when it goes to and when it erodes to being less than half, then you have to throw it out. When it comes to a dinner, only when it erodes to being a quarter, less than a quarter of what it was, then you have to throw it out. The Gemara will explain though a different pshat here, because it doesn't make sense to make this kind of distinction. Okay, then the Braise says, Pachis mikain iser oser. If it's less than this and it's a isser, then it's also to use it. The Gemara will explain what this line means as well. Okay, now the Gemara says regarding this coin that you're not allowed to keep in your possession, you shouldn't use it, you shouldn't sell it, not to a merchant, not to a person that is very, very forceful and he forces you to sell things to him even if you don't want. And not a person that's a murderer that will come and force you to use these coins and accept these coins even if it's not its price, and he'll force you to accept these coins for its full price. Because these are people that fool others or force others to accept it from you. So therefore you can't sell it, you can't give it to any of these people. And including also not to a tagar, even though the tagar is not mamish going to force you to take it for its original good value, but still, a merchant, he can use these coins and try to smuggle in such a kind of coin, even if it's not 100% its right value. So what do you do with these coins? After these coins are not being able to, you can't use it anymore, you're supposed to throw it out. What you do with it is, you make a hole in it, and you can hang it as a necklace on your son's neck, or for your daughter. That's what you do with the coin after this. Right, so Taisus explains here what the Bryce is really saying over here is that you can use it as a necklace, but don't sell it to the Cherem and the Hareg or the Tagar. Don't sell it for them, even if they're telling you that they want to use it just to make it as a necklace for their child, because you don't know. They're going to use it, misuse it to fool people with it. Okay. The Gemara here goes through all the details of the Braisa. Mamar, the Tana the Braisa says, when he speaks about at what point are you not allowed to hold on to this coin anymore. Besela at shekel. By a sela, when it erodes to half you can keep. But if it's less than half, then you can't keep it anymore. Because that's something that people can't see the difference exactly of what it is now, and you can end up fooling them with this. But dinner, when it's by a dinner though, it's at adroiva. When it's up to the worth of a quarter, the size became smaller, then you could still keep it. Only less than a quarter of its original size, then you have to throw it away. So the question is, Maishno besela at shekel, or Maishno bedinner at adroiva? What's the difference? Why by a sela we say half, and why by a dinner do we say when it eroded less than a quarter? Abaye explains it really means the same thing. My roiva diktani nami, when it says the quarter by a dinner, it means ad roiva. It means roiva shekel. It means a quarter of a shekel. The shekel is every shekel is 2 dinarim. So therefore, when it says roiva, it doesn't mean the roiva of the dinner. It means the roiva of the shekel, which would be a half a shekel, which would be a half a dinner, right? So really it means the same thing. The point is, a coin that's eroded to the amount of half, you can still keep it. But if it's eroded to less than half, then you can't keep it anymore because you're going to want to use it for this half coin. But here, people can't see exactly what it is in relation to what it was originally. Amarave, so Rav explains and says, Dekanami, I'll prove to you that Abaye's pshat is correct. The katani, because the language of Mishnah, the Braisa here uses is ad roiva. It says the term roiva. Why does it use this term roiva? V'le katani revia. Usually when you want to say a quarter, you use the term revia. What does it mean, roiva? Shma mino. So that proves that it doesn't mean a revia of this coin that we're talking about over here, that the roiva of the dinner. What it means is that a roiva is sort of a name of a coin in relation to the shekel, which is double the size of the dinner, and that's a half of the dinner. It's a half of the dinner, which is a quarter of the shekel, right? Okay, Shema Mino. So that's a right to this pshat. But now the Gemara asks, why does the Braisa say it in this type of way? Why doesn't the Braisa just simply say half of the dinner? That is dinner b'shekel. Why is it saying the erosion of this coin by the dinner in relation to the shekel? Why isn't it saying the erosion of the coin in relation to the dinner of what it was? So the Gemara answer is because it's also teaching you over here another point. The ikke dinner, the osi mishekel. That you have a dinner that originally was a shekel, which was double the size, and it eroded to half, and now it's a dinner, and you can use it now as a dinner. This is what Rabami said. Rabami said, the dinner haba mishekel muter l'kaimai. A coin that was originally the size of a dinner, and it eroded to half, to being a shekel. So now that it's half, you can use it as a shekel. It becomes like a new coin, like a shekel. That's the point that we said before. When a coin erodes and it's half the size of what it originally was, you can still keep it and use it. if it's less than that. Then it becomes confusing because now people can't understand exactly what this coin is. That's when you have to throw it out. But if it's half, then you could use it. Dinner, haba, misela, but a dinner that comes from a sela, asalakaimoy. That you can't use anymore. Why? Because a dinner is only a quarter of a sela. So then it eroded less than half. So if a sela is eroded down to the point of a dinner, that you have to throw out. Okay. Rashi here explains one of a point regarding this inyan. When a coin erodes, the reason why it becomes confusing to people after it erodes to half. So l'chayre, once it's half, so now people see there was the full coin. Now it's a half a coin, so it's sort of like a new coin. So why can't we say that it becomes like this new half coin and it's good? And even if it erodes lower than half, it should still be something that people should be able to see exactly what it is. So Rashi explains the problem is the coin, the way it was originally, is a thicker coin. When they make the small coins, so it's not thick coins. Over here, this coin originally was thick coins. LMI, it erodes, so now it's half of its original size, but it still has a certain thickness to it. So therefore, even after it erodes less than half, because of the thickness, it might seem to people that it still is half of what it originally was, and they're not going to realize that it really eroded less than that. And therefore, it's such a kind of coin you have to throw out. Okay, then the words in the Braisa was, Pachas mikain iser oser. What do these words in the Braisa mean here? When if it diminished less than what it was in the amount of a iser, then it's oser. My kama. What is the Braisa saying? It sounds like the Braisa is talking about the din that it's saying here. At what point, when it erodes, are you not allowed to keep it in your possession anymore? You don't want it to be in use anymore. Sounds like the Braisa is saying that only if it erodes a less than the shear that it was, and it's less in the amount of a iser, then it's going to be Yasser. So my comma, what's the Braisa saying? The Braisa itself gives the shear. The Braisa says if it erodes to half, you can still keep it. Which would mean if it's less than half, you can't keep it anymore. So now the Braisa is saying, no, even if it's less than half, only if it erodes additionally the amount of an Isser. Why? If it erodes anything less than half, you can't keep it anymore. So what's the Braisa saying now? Amar Abaye, so therefore Abaye says that no, this part of the Braisa is not talking about the halacha, whether you can keep this coin in your possession after it eroded. It's going back to what the Braisa spoke about in the beginning, the halacha of Eino, that when you use it in circulation and it eroded, the different shiurim that the beginning of this Braisa said, that was mentioned in the Mishnah, at what point is Eino? And Hachika Amar, this is what the Braisa is saying. That if the seller was diminished more than the shear of Eino, how much more than the shear of Eino, Isser, then it's also to use it in circulation. So what the Braisa over here is saying is that the Tana of the Braisa and the Mishnah gave certain shiurim. If it eroded a 24th, a 12th, or a 6th, so then there's going to be Eino. So if it erodes, so here the Braisa is adding, if it erodes to that point and there's another Isser that eroded from it, less than this amount, then there's going to be an Isser to use it. That's what the Braisa is adding here. What does the Gemara mean to say by this? So Taisus over here explains the pshat in this, because it's very hard to understand what the Gemara is saying. I mean, the Mishnah, the Braisa gives certain shiurim of the erosion. When does he know? And now Abai is saying, Abai is saying that no, it has to erode even more an amount of an Isser, then it'll be also to use. Why does it have to erode even more? So Taisus explains that what the Braisa is saying is, if it eroded to the shiurim that it said in the Mishnah, then there's the Isser of Eino. But what does that mean, there's the Isser of Eino? You can use it. You can still pay for it. But then if the person comes back to you and says that you gave me a Isser that's missing, so you have to pay him the difference. So you're using the lechatchila with the plan that you'll pay him the difference. But then the Braisa says, if it eroded even further and it's missing another amount in the size of the Isser of this coin, then you're not allowed to use it at all. You're not allowed to even use it with the intention to then pay him back the difference. That's the way Abai explains what this Braisa is saying. Rava asks him, no, this is not true. Once we say that there's an Isser of Eino, and the coin can't be used in circulation anymore. So even if it's this amount, and any mashu that's missing of it, so if it's a mashu less than this shear, then you can't use it at all in circulation. If it's the amount of then if you use it, then you have to pay the difference. But if it's a mashu less than this, so then you're not allowed to use it at all. It's not only when it's eroded further and it's missing another size of the isser, even a masho, you can't use it anymore. So what's this shear that the Tana of the Braisa here said, pachis mikain isser, that if you eroded an additional isser, Elam Rave, so therefore Rave says, what this Braisa is saying is like this. You read it like this. Pachasa sela, if the sela eroded, how much did it erode? The shear of the ratio a isser ledinner. A isser to a dinner, which is a sixth, which is exactly what it said in the Mishnah. Then osir, this is when the din of Eina applies. What's this Braisa saying here? Ostame karab meir. The Braisa over here, after they brought all the opinions in the beginning, the Braisa afterwards is concluding and saying the halacha is like Rab Meir, that we say that the erosion of the dinner is like Rab Meir, which was a Isla dinner, which is a 24th to what the seller was originally. So the Tana in the end is just simply telling you that the erosion, the shear of the erosion for the din of Eina regarding a sela is a 24th. And that's the ratio of a isser to a dinner. That's the title of these words, pachis mikain. Regarding a sela, if it diminished a isser in relation to a dinner, that's when there's the shear of Eina. Tanan Hossam. Now here the Gemara is going to come back to the halacha that it spoke about before, b'negeya to the coin that erodes. At what point do you have to throw it out? You can't keep it in your possession anymore because people are going to use it to fool people with this and pay it, and people are not going to know what its true size or value is. So the Gemara starts with a Mishnah, Masechta Kelim. The Mishnah there says, Sela shenifsala, a sela that we eroded, and then what happened is you're not using it as money anymore. Instead you're using it as something then in weights, to weigh things against it. So tameya. So this sela now is not money anymore. Instead, it's like a keli. It's being used for weight. So therefore, what's the halacha of a keli? It's makabel tumah. So it can become tummy. Okay, that's the first halacha of that Mishnah. But now that Mishnah says another halacha, which is the point that we're talking about over here. At kamativ paches, how much should there be an erosion of this coin v'yehei rashoy lekaima, and you're still allowed to keep it? L'sela, and for a sela, that is shnei dinarim. If it erodes to the amount of 2 dinarim. 2 dinarim for a sela is half. Before the Gemara said the lashon of a shekel. Therefore, it's a shekel for a sela, because every shekel is 2 dinarim. Okay, so it's the same point that we said before. When it erodes to a half, then you're still allowed to keep it. If it erodes less than half, as it says here, pachis mikain, if it eroded less than that it's already less than that, then yakutz. Then you have to cut it, you have to destroy it. You can't keep it anymore. Again? A sela is 4 dinarim. Sela is 4 dinarim, so if it erodes to the amount of 2 dinarim, so that's half. Okay, so now this is the lashon of the Mishnah there in Kalim. Now the Gemara says on this, Yeser al kain my. What happens if it eroded, but it's still worth more than half? The Mishnah there explains when it erodes to half, you can still keep it. If it eroded that it's less than half, you have to throw it out. What's it if it eroded less than half, between half and the whole original coin? What's halacha then? So over here there's a machlokes. So Rav Huna says pachis mekain yakutz, yeser al kain yakutz. Either way, whether it eroded to less than half or it eroded and it's still worth more than half, either way you have to cut it, you have to destroy, you have to get rid of this dinner. And the way that Rishayin, the Ritva over here explains is, he teaches this is what the Mishnah means. The Mishnah itself, when it says the lashon of pachis mikain yakutz, there's 2 ways how to translate the words pachis mikain. Either pachis mikain is referring to the erosion, that it eroded less than half, or pachis mikain is referring to the size of the coin itself, that it did not yet erode as much as half, it eroded less than that, meaning it's still worth more. So either way, the Mishnah here is saying that you have to get rid of it. Rabbi says no. Pachis mikain yakutz. If it actually eroded less than half, then you have to throw it out. Yes, it came, but if it's still worth more than that, you kaim. That you could still keep. As I explained before, Rashi explains this, when the coin erodes, but it's still a size more than half, people can see the erosion. Once it erodes half, so people see that this is a half a coin, and you can't fool people with that either. Once it erodes to less than half, that's something which is confusing to people, because on one hand, it's now you're using it as a half a coin, but when it's less than half, because it's a thicker coin originally, so it's unclear to people exactly what this is. Only then you have to throw it out. The Gemara now asks on Rav Huna. Rav Huna said whether you wrote it less than half or more than half, either way you have to throw it out. So in the lashon of the brisa that we quoted before, the brisa said, Yeser al Kain, the brisa gave the shear of the erosion regarding Ainah, the various different opinions, and then the brisa says that if it eroded Yeser al Kain, Meichra b'shavya, you can still use it and you can still sell it for the value that it is. So the Gemara now understands, what does this mean? My love, shapachasa yoser michdei Ainah. The lashon of the Mishnah, when it says Yeser al Kain, is referring to the erosion. It's saying that it eroded more than the shiurim that those Tanaim in the Braisa gave, more than a 24th, more than a 12th, or more than a 6th. And then what is it saying? You could still use it to sell it for its current value that it is after it eroded, which means that this is an erosion which is less than the erosion where it's only left half of the coin. Right? This is the case where Rav Huna said that you have to throw it out. Because Rav Huna said whether it eroded more than half or whether it eroded less than half, either way you have to throw it out. Over here, it eroded more than the shear of Ainah. And what does the Brisa say? So now you can sell it as a good coin, as an original coin, but you can sell it, you can use it as an eroded coin, but you don't have to throw it out. But according to Rav Huna, such a kind of coin you should have to throw out. So the Gemara answers, Loi, that's not the pshat on the Brisa. The pshat on the Brisa is, Yiseda, when it says Yeser al Kain, it means that Katile Paksab B'chdei Ainah Asa. What it's saying is, all these Tanaim here gave a shear of the erosion when there's a din of Ainah. This eroded even less than that, less than a 24th, or less than a 12th, or less than a 6th. Then Moichra B'Shavya, you could actually sell it for its original value, for a good coin. The value, it's still considered to be like an original good coin when it eroded less of this amount. That's what it's talking about in that brisa. So it's not connected at all to what Rav Huna spoke about when it eroded more than the shear of Ainah. And then Rav Huna holds you actually have to throw it out already, because then you can't use it for its original value and it's confusing to people and you can fool people with this. Meisvei, the Gemara asks from another thing that we learned before in the Brisa says, At kameti pachis v'yeheira shoy lekaima, up until which point, when the coin, the size of the coin goes down and you're still allowed to keep it. So it said, B'sela at shekel. By a sela, it's until half, which is a shekel. Okay, so the Tana of the Brisa speaks about half. It says by half, you could use it. Now, when you read the simple lashon of the Brisa, what does it sound like? My love, don't you think it's saying the pachis porte, that this is a coin that gradually erodes, and what it's saying is the coin eroded, and you can use it, you can keep it in your possession until it erodes half, and half you can still use it. When it's less than half, then you have to throw it out. So what that means is when it eroded to the point where it's between the full size of the coin and the half a coin that it is, you can still use it. Only when it's less than half, that's when you have to throw it out. So how could Rav Huna say that a coin that eroded less than half, you already have to throw it out? When the coin eroded, when I say the word is less than half, when it eroded and it's still more than half of its size, that you have to throw it out already. So the Gemara says, Loi, that's not the way you read the Brisa. Rather, what the Brisa is saying is the nafal lenura v'afchis b'chod zimna. What happened with this coin is it was thrown into a fire, and it didn't erode gradually. It right away, the fire burnt it down to half of its size. It melted it down half of its size. If it would have eroded gradually, it would have never gotten to the point where it would have been half of its size, because you would have been obligated to throw it out already before then, according to Rav Huna. Okay, now the Gemara goes back to another din that the Brisa said before. On Mamar, in the Brisa it said, what do you do with these eroded coins that you're obligated to get rid of them? Yikveno, you make a hole in it. V'yitlena b'tzava b'noya b'tzava bita. You can use it as a necklace for your son or daughter. The Gemara asks, and what it says in another Brisa clearly that you're not allowed to do this. Don't use this eroded coin as a weight amongst your weights, because if the coin is still around, it could end up being used to pay with it. Don't even throw it out between your broken pieces of metal. Don't use it either to make a hole in it and then to make a necklace out of it. Ella, what do you do with it? Or yishchaik, or you should crush it, or yatuch. What did they translate? Grind it, or yatuch, or you should melt it, or yakutz, or cut it up, or yeluch liyama melach, or throw it into the yama melach. So you can't keep it in your possession at all. How does the Brisa say that you can use it to make a hole in it, to make a necklace? Amar Rabbi Lazar, Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rabbi Lazar, or Rav Huna said in the name of Rabbi Lazar, Loi kashya. It's not a contradiction. It depends where you're making the hole. Kam be'emtza. If you make the hole in the center of the coin, then you can use it as a necklace because everyone's going to see that this coin can't be used. Kan minatzad. If you're going to make a hole on the side of the coin, so then you can't use it, you can't keep it in your possession. Because what's if a ganav comes along and will shave it and smooth it out even more, and you won't even see that hole that you made in it. So that over there, the Bryce is saying that you should not make a hole in it, you should throw it out. Smaller. It becomes smaller, true. You're going to use it. You can use it as a smaller coin, but it could still be a coin that was originally thicker, and it's still going to be a problem that the people will accept it as a payment. Then the Braise, or actually this goes back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah said, up until what point could you give it back to the one that gave you this coin? So the time frame is in a big city, the time that you have to show it to a money changer, in the small villages until Erev Shabbos. So here the Gemara discusses another thing where we find the halacha of the erosion of the coin that's different than the halachas of the ainah when it comes to the value of something, where you overcharge or undercharge. Why when it comes to the erosion of a coin, the maflik? Where we have over here this distinction between living in the big cities or people that are living in small villages. When it comes to the case where you are overcharged regarding a garment that you bought, the maflik, over there it doesn't make this distinction between a large city or a village. Abaye answers, and the talis as well, it also gave a shear until you can show it to, if you remember, the shear by the talis, by the shear of Eno, it says that you have the time to back out from the sale or get back your money until you could show it to a tager, you could show it to a merchant, or show it to someone. So when it says that by a talis, it's also bekrachen. It was saying that also in the large city. But even regarding the shear of Eno, by a place where you're overcharged or undercharged in a talis, if you're in a small village, you're going to have time until Erev Shabbos as well. The same distinction applies there as well. Rava says, no, it's not the same thing. Because talis called inish kimle begava. When it comes to a talis, you don't need to have a money changer, an expert that knows this. You can go to anybody, and a lot of people will be able to tell you regarding the price of a talis that you were overcharged. So therefore, even in a small village, it's the same shear as it is in a big city. Selah, however, when it comes to the erosion of a coin, this is something that regular people don't necessarily know to tell you exactly what the erosion of this coin is. Only a money changer, hilkach, therefore we make this distinction. In the large city where you have money changers, you have time to back out or to return the coin until you show it to the money changer. But in the villages where you don't have the money changer, so over there, you have until Erev Shabbos when you're going to want to use the money in the marketplace to buy food. You see if the money is going to be accepted or not. Okay, going back to what it said in the Mishnah afterwards, the Mishnah says, "V'im haya makira," if the person that gave this coin realizes that he gave an eroded coin, then even after 12 months, you should be ready to take back the coin. So the Gemara asks, why? Well, why are we saying now that you have to give 12 months time to take it back? Heicha, where are we talking about? Is it in a city? You said the time frame to take back this coin is until you show it to a money changer. Are we talking about in a small village? You have time until Erev Shabbos, but not 12 months. Rav Chisda answers, Midis Chsidis Shanukan. Here it's talking about a person that wants to be pious, go beyond the letter of the law. He should be ready to accept back this eroded coin that he gave for 12 months.
This is only 12 months?
Yeah, that's what it says here. Midis Chsidis is 12 months, yeah. Maybe it's a fila lachash nemas l'chaydish, but maybe even more. I don't know. Okay, so the Gemara asks on this, if it's Midis Chsidis, Eim Sefer, what does the Mishnah right away continue and say? Right after this, it says, there's only going to be complaints here. So the question is, wait a minute, we're talking over here about a chassid that even after 12 months is ready to take back this coin. He's taking back the coin. So what kind of complaints are there here? Laman, who's the one that's complaining here? Is it the chassid that took back this coin after 12 months, and the chassid is the one that's going to be complaining? This chassid is going to go around telling people, look at this person, he's so particular about the coin that I gave him, it was missing a little bit and he gives me back the coin. Even after 12 months, it's the chassid that's complaining. Like Kabula lekabla, he doesn't have to go beyond the letter of the law to take it back from him. And then he won't complain about this person. He went beyond the letter of the law to take it from him. So what is he complaining now that this guy is so particular about it? So who's the one that's complaining? The one that got the coin. is the one that's complaining. But why is he complaining? If we're saying over here that the one that gave it to him is a chassid and he was ready to take back the coin, so now he's complaining. What is he complaining about? So the Gemara explains, this is what the Mishnah is saying. Somebody else that's not a chassid, and he's not ready to take back the coin from you after the time frame that the Mishnah gave, even if he's not ready to take it back from you, all you could do is complain after this time frame that you were given to show it to Shulchani or till Erev Shabbos. After that time, all you could have is just tarumas on this, not more than that.